Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Racing to Win right here on the Grid Network. Joe Samriego, along with Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. We invite everyone to comment in the chat room, and especially we're going to be starting off with W Series. The first four races are done. They are now on their summer break, and we are halfway through the W Series season, which has been overall dominated by Alice Powell and Jamie Chadwick. The two of them both have won from the pole position, not once but twice. So they won both races so far. The one big difference when it comes to their performances this year, Chadwick, her lowest finish was sixth place in race one, and Powell was eighth place in race two. So this has allowed Jamie Chadwick to essentially continue to hold the points lead over Alice Powell by the slimmest of margins. Daniel, when it comes to the next tracks, we have Spa-Francorchamps. We have the Zandvoort circuit in the Netherlands. We also have Circus of America in the United States and Mexico City. Do you see Alice Powell or Chadwick having the upper hand on the other driver in any of those four tracks?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for following us every week. As you said, it's going to be really tight between Jamie and Alice. I think the Spa-Francorchamps, which is the next round, it's a really iconic racetrack, one of the fan favorite and also the driver's favorite. And honestly, I have no idea how to predict the coming rounds, either between Jamie and Alice, and also with the other drivers. As we often said, probably we will see probably a new race winner. Maybe it will be Fabian Volvend. Maybe it will be another driver. Could be Nerea Marti, who is now third in the standings after her first podium in last time out last week. Also, Irina Sidorkova was really fast again after a difficult round in Silverstone. So I would probably say that there is not much of track time in W Series this year. The drivers have a 30-minute free practice session, while in 2019 they had two free practice sessions. Now it's just one because of the F1 schedule. They are a little bit more restricted in the schedule. So with less track time, and then after the practice session, they go straight into qualifying, and they have the 30-minute qualifying. So this means that the drivers that had more track time in either in testing or in other racing series, or they have probably more experience from the past, like Alice Powell. She did the GP3 series in 2012, even though it was very different car and quite some time ago. But of course, she had already raced in Spa-Francorchamps, which is the coming round. But again, also Jamie Chadwick had quite a lot of track time in Formula Regional European Championship last year. They did 8 race weekends and 3 races per weekend. So that's quite, and there it was 2 free practice sessions and 2 qualifying sessions. So that's quite a lot of track time. So I really have no idea how to predict the championship fight this year. They are separated by 1 point now. Also, of course, the Zandvoort race that is coming after Spa will be Bijlske Visser's home race, will be Bijlske's first home race. And she won. Well, she in 2019 she considered this, the Zolder round in Belgium her home race, and she won that. So we've seen also progress from Bijlske in the last couple of races. She hasn't been able to convert that into podiums yet. But there was definitely some progress. So maybe Bijlske will be the next race winner. We don't know yet. And then, of course, the 2 final rounds outside of Europe at Circuit of the Americas and Mexico City. And that's really all a guessing game, because I think only Sabre Cook has experience of the Circuit of the America, where she has raced in the Formula 4 US Championship in 2018. Of course, she still has to score points, but coming into the second half of the season, she will definitely, I think, in my opinion, progress through the rankings. It's going to be really, really tight. Also, among the third placed Nerea Marti and the seventh placed driver in the standings, there are 4 points. So it's not just the championship fight, but also really, really interesting between Nerea Marti, Sarah Moore, who had a really solid first part of the season, even though her last round was a little bit more challenging in Budapest. Also Irina Sidorkova, Fabian Volven, who almost won the race in Silverstone. It's going to be really, really difficult to predict, and this is what we like about W Series.
W Series have been very unpredictable this year. Even though we've seen just 2 winners, the competition has been fierce, and of course we know Fabienne Silverstone, that safety car definitely changed up the race, but it was just part of racing, as we always say. And of course, this long summer break is a good opportunity for everyone to rest up, try to reset. And you mentioned Bicycle Visser. She has won the spot before. What a great way to come back from the summer break and get a win there. Other drivers I think that we're going to be looking at that might be wanting to have a sort of a reset for their season has to be Marta Garcia. So many expected her to be scoring points, getting the wins. It's just been a struggle this year. Just something seems to be amiss. Only 9th place in the championship. Then Sabri Cook, as you mentioned, no points. Qualifying has just not been her thing this year. Just starting towards the back. She's been making progress throughout the races, but when you're starting like this last race, 18th, yes, it's great. You got up to 13th, but then it just seems like you hit that wall and you can't continue going up. And especially with these cars, it just seems that slipstream is not that effective. Which drivers do you think will be more suited for the next 4 tracks? Especially, I know we talked about Chadwick and Powell, but the drivers that we haven't even talked about yet. Do you see them, especially the high-speed circuits like Spa, where this is a great opportunity to make a comeback?
Well, I think, as you said, Jamie and Alice will be there, will be up there fighting for those podiums. But coming into Spa-Francorchamps, I think Beitske has quite a lot of experience in that track. She has raced in both single-seaters and in GT cars. Then, of course, Fabian Volven also raced there in the Ferrari Challenge. Of course, different car, but she has raced there. Great to mention that you mentioned Marta Garcia. I was just writing before going live. I was just writing an article about Marta and about her second half of the season. She really found she seems to have found again some speed in Budapest. I think she is back in the rhythm, and we will definitely see more from Marta Garcia in the second half of the championship. And then why not some surprises? Then we've seen Irina Sidorkova having quite a difficult time in the high speed tracks, as she said. It's her words. She said this after the Silverstone round. So of course, coming to Spa, that might be some of a problem. But of course, she collected new experience in Silverstone. She has now more data, so she definitely would have improved coming into Spa. And then Nerea Marti, we will be doing an interview with her this week. She is probably one of the biggest surprises, the biggest revelations of this first half of the season. And she says that she doesn't want to put too much pressure on herself and to after this first podium, because it's only her first season. It is, of course, she has 2 years of automatic entry. Both Nerea and Irina will have gained the automatic entry into next season as well, so they don't have that much pressure, like some of the others. But yes, Spa will be another turning point for the championship, because I am pretty sure that both Jamie and Alice, with their experience, they will be again fighting at the top. But Beitske Visser, Marta Garcia, Fabian Volvend, maybe again Sarah Moore, they will be there fighting for those. And Emma Kimiläinen, of course, Emma Kimiläinen. I don't know if she has raced previously in Spa, but they will be there.
They will all be there. Definitely, I know Sarah Mora probably looking to rebound, especially after the Hungarian ring wasn't exactly her race. We do have a question from the chat room, comes from Amber. She asks, how about Belen Garcia? How will you grade her effort so far? We know this is her first season. Overall, it seemed like a pretty good start. It just seems to be putting together a perfect race to get that result. What were your takes on her?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both Nerea Marti and Belen Garcia, they raced in the 2019 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. And we knew that they would have been really competitive coming into their first W Series championship. Belen has started really well. She fought for the podium in Austria the first weekend. She scored a 4th place at the end. But podium was definitely in her reach. Then she had a couple of very unfortunate rounds due to technical issues. She had a problem in her wheels. Actually, she told us that she had quite a lot of vibrations in her front wheel. And the team couldn't really understand where it came from. Then it was at the beginning, it was thought that it was a brake disc problem. Then it was not. Then they found the problem. They fixed it. Of course, she in the meantime she had lost the 2nd round, and then she came into the 3rd round with that problem fixed. But she had a gearbox issues, transmission issues in the 3rd round in Silverstone. And then she was spun around on the final lap when she was again into the points. So I think she could have been in a much better position now than she actually is. She has done really good because of course with all that technical problems, she still finished in the points most of the races. And of course it's her debut season, so it has to be expected that she cannot be always right there fighting for victories. But I think her first season in W Series is really competitive and really something to be proud of.
I would agree, definitely something to be proud of. And I know Amber mentioned she enjoyed the episode where we did interview her, and we want to encourage everyone, be sure subscribe to Grid Network, and on the playlist you can see all of our episodes, including our interviews with Belen Garcia and many other drivers in the W Series. Now, of course, the W Series this year, one of the big changes, this hybrid team concept. Next year, switching to full teams. Still not a lot of details about the drivers and especially some of the funding when it comes to this new concept. Could this much be a factor in racing performance, and especially if drivers are starting to be concerned about, okay, I need to perform to keep my spot on the grid? Do you see that being an issue where the racing performance might really be something drivers are really focused on, especially with this new changes coming ahead?
I think this is the question coming into the next round, in the next season of W Series. We, of course, don't know yet because there are not many information available right now about what it will be. And I think also W Series itself, it is a really developing concept. So I don't think it is something they've figured out completely yet. Of course, they want to have a fully team structure coming to next season. Right now, the teams, of course, are somehow of a not really always real entities this season. Veloce Racing, of course, is probably the most accomplished team to join the grid. We have, of course, also the Puma team and the Bunker Racing and the Forb team, but they are much more of a sponsor buying the livery. So it's not like there is a real race team behind it, like a structure like we see for example in Formula 2 or in Formula 3 so far, because from next season that's going to be the target for W Series. And so far, so Veloce is really the only team that has a structure, even though, of course, the engineering side and the mechanical side of W Series is still managed for all the cars with a centralized team. But Veloce has its communication, its personnel. It is like franchise teams, exactly. And so I think that coming into next season, it will be different, but we're still trying to figure out, and also WCT is still trying to figure out how it will be. Of course, as you said, Joe, the most important question will be, will this affect performance like we've seen, for example, in Formula 2 or in Formula 3? Because racing for a really top hand team is very different from racing with a second tier team. And of course, this is not really the initial concept of W Series, because W Series it was initially started to give an opportunity to drivers that didn't have a budget to race in other racing series, and in order to, of course, enhance their presence in motorsport and give them the opportunity to build their experience with the Formula 3 cars. And obviously going on into mixed series and possibly to Formula 1. That's going to be the most important philosophical question that W Series has to resolve into next year. Let's see if there will be probably teams, real racing teams that are competing in other European championships that will probably go behind the scenes and manage the franchise teams. So it's going to be interesting to see also how the teams pick the drivers, because right now there are selections before the season starts, and the fastest 18 or 20 drivers get in and the others are not. So it will be, with teams managing that, it will be different. Still, we don't know how, but it will be different. So I will think, as we said, it's going to be a philosophical question that W Series will have to face coming into 2022.
Yeah, 2022 is going to be really a lot of questions. Definitely going to be really exciting. I see Amber commented W Series draft. Now, for fans that may not be familiar with the draft concept, that's where traditionally the team that finishes the season last is first to pick a driver, rookies coming in. That might be something interesting. We have rookies and drivers that are sort of selected. It'll definitely be really interesting. We'll definitely be following this throughout 2021 and right here on the Grid Network, as well as Darren's website, Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet. Now, of course, you were out watching Spanish Formula 4 this past weekend as well, too. What can you tell us about that weekend, including the British Formula 4?
Yes, the Spanish Formula 4 was also coming to at the halfway mark of its 2021 season. Of course, we have two female drivers racing there. One is Emily de Heus, a Dutch driver, a 17-year-old racing for MP Motorsport, making her debut in single seaters this year, so stepping up from karting. And the other is also another driver that has made quite a lot of experience in the past couple of years in the European, at the highest levels of European karting scenes. She is French, 15-year-old Lola Lovin-Foss. And so I apologize with Lola, because I wrote in a race report that she was 16, and she wrote a text to me and she said, nice article, but I'm 15, not 16. So okay, I apologize to Lola. She's 15-year-old, so even more impressive from her to reach those results at such a young age. She's making a lot of progress, I would say. She's coming closer and closer to the points. The Spanish Formula 4 has really made a huge progress from the past couple of years. I would say they probably 3 years ago they had like 12 or to 15 entries, and now it's almost 30 cars. It's a lot closer to Italian Formula 4 than everyone would have expected. So really competitive series, and the Lola is and also Emily. They're really improving weekend after weekend. Emily, I know that she told me that she didn't have the testing that she wanted, so she missed a lot of testing, and so this is why her progress has been a little bit slower than she wanted. So basically, she entering the races with a lot less mileage than the others, and at that level, when they are stepping up from karting to single seaters, any track time makes the difference. Every track day is crucial. So this is really what you see, what the things that you watch to actually rate a driver's season at their start, at the beginning of their car racing careers. And the most important thing from last weekend that we take on from last weekend was that Emily De Heus did her best result in the season. She actually was P15 in race 2, but was penalized after the race for a jump start. And so she was actually able to score points, to still score her best result of the season with P16 into race 1. After another penalty from Lola Lovin-Foss, actually, again for jump start. There were like 5 drivers penalized for jump start, so that there was something strange going on. But the thing is that Emily scored her best results of the season, P16, very good from her. Also, Lola had great battles, and she was at one point up also to P14, P15. She was also battling in these positions, just ahead or just below Emily. Then had a spin into the last corner, finished P20, had that penalty, a little bit of a messy weekend for Lola, who was P13 in the previous round. But they're really racing well and making a lot of progress. And as I said, every weekend counts to make improvements into the second half of the season.
Every weekend counts. A 15-year-old, that is amazing. We do have a question in the chat room. It's something I know. How old do you have to be to start racing Formula cars?
That's a great question. Many Formula 4 championships. Well, actually, let's say that if you want to go into Formula cars with the aim probably of Formula 1 but Formula cars, the Formula 4 is the entry level. So this is where really you start out in Formula cars. There are many national series in Europe, like Spanish Formula 4, French Formula 4, British Formula 4, Italian, German, and all like that. In the US, you have the US Formula 4 Championship, which is very competitive also, with a lot of entries. There's also the South American series, the Argentinian one. So there are a lot of Mexican, I think, also started this year. So a lot of Formula 4 championship, national level Formula 4 championship. This is really where you want to start in single seaters. But coming into those championships, you really want to have some karting experience to enter these series, because they are massively competitive. There are drivers that spent like 10 years in high level karting, world level or European level karting, and have been on track like every week, every day, testing, doing races, the important races where there are like 60 entries, and they have to do like the pre-final and to qualify to the final. So it's really massively competitive championship to enter Formula 4. So you really want some karting experience before entering Formula 4. And drivers starting in karting, they're starting like in 5, 6, 7 years old in good level karting. And so you switch to Formula cars like at 14. That's really the point where you would like to switch to 14, 15. 15, it's more common. Some of them also switch at 16. It is not that uncommon to see 16 or 17-year-old. They're not too old to enter Formula 4. But after 17, it's starting to get, you really want to have a couple of season under your belt already in single seaters before moving on to Formula 3. So it is quite, and of course it's really expensive. So you better have good sponsors or deep pockets to enter these kind of championships. And it is very competitive. So I would say that probably in Europe, the average age is a lot lower compared to the US. In America, it tends to be a little bit higher. So there are still drivers that are entering I like at 17, 18, 19-year-old, and it still have chances to be competitive. While in Europe, now it's a lot more common to switch from karting to single seaters at 14 and 15. Some championships do not allow drivers under 15 to enter. We've seen Juju Noda, the Japanese female driver, last year at 13 entering the Danish Formula 4 Championship, because it was the only one in Europe allowing under 14 years old to race. But yeah, this is the age where usually the switch from karting to single seater is made.
Amazing that it's so competitive. They're getting younger and younger. See it in other sports as well. I mean, basketball players going from high school straight to NBA, bypassing college, just to see younger drivers. It's just really competitive and amazing to see that kind of talent. And we definitely encourage all of our viewers to be sure to share your questions right here on the air, as well as your opinions as well. Now, definitely coming to the United States for some short track racing, the ARCA Menard Series. They're at Winchester Speedway, site of the Calypso Lemonade 200, and Tony Brittinger. She was in this race. Of course, she's been racing this year in the ARCA Menard Series. This race, 17 vehicles. Seems like a small count, especially in United States standards where NASCAR, you're looking at 30 to 40 vehicles. However, this is a half-mile short track with some pretty steep banking. Very tricky track for just a half-mile short track. So you got all the beating and banging plus the additional speed that you're carrying through those bank corners. Essentially, it's a smaller version of Bristol Motor Speedway because the banking is not that steep. Tony qualified essentially 12th place, started the race, and just continued working her way up into the top 10, climbing up to 9th place in the top 10. Now, while everyone was talking about the finish of the race, where we saw Gibbs make contact, go up there towards the front, Tony ran a solid race, 9th place finish for her in the Calypso Lemonade 200 at Winchester Speedway. Definitely one of the better results this year for her. And of course, this weekend, ARCA Menard Series, as well as NASCAR and some of the other American series are coming back as well. So definitely really excited to see more racing, especially after the summer break, Olympic break for many. And I know one of the drivers we haven't talked about in a while was Michelle Holder, Spanish TCR. She was racing this past weekend. She had a pretty good weekend from what I understand, correct?
Yes, exactly. Both the female drivers of the TCR Spain also did very well. Michelle won a race, won the first the season opener, then Al Bacano won the second one, and they both scored podiums in this third round. Michelle was third in the final race of the weekend, and Alba was second in the first one. So really, really impressive season for both the drivers on track, and also Michelle had quite a rough weekend in Aragon because she was on her way. She was also driving the team truck. It's a family run team. She's also the truckie going from Germany to Spain, and they were robbed on along the way. So it was quite the difficult start of the season for Michelle. They were stopped and robbed along the motorway. And so very glad that nothing serious happened, and she's fine. All the family is fine, but still managed to score a third place in the races. So another solid weekend for Michelle.
Great solid weekend for her, and definitely, I know it's just amazing to think of driving the race car one day, Dan is driving the truck with the race car and aerial equipment home, something you don't see too often, especially here in the United States. And we encourage everyone to be sure to visit often the website racersbehindthehelmet.com. Here is the list of all the upcoming races this weekend. Dan, I know you're going to be following some of the races going on. Which races in particular are you going to be following this weekend?
Oh yes, a lot of even though it's not summer break for a lot of cities, I will be following in DTM personally. So at Zolder, Sophia Flörsch and Esme Hockey resume their seasons. And also in Zolder there will be the BMW M2 Cup, really interesting series with 5 female drivers. But then, of course, as you see here on the website, the IMSA coming back with also Michelin Pilot Challenge. And a bunch of other championships like Mazda MX-5 Cup and the Lamborghini Super Trofeo at Road America. Also TCR Denmark racing on the streets of Copenhagen in a street circuit. Really interesting layout. And Louise Frost, a Danish driver, will be making her debut in TCR. And then a bunch of other championships. We definitely encourage everyone to check out the calendar on our page.
Definitely a lot on the page, and we encourage everyone to visit the website. I know we're just about out of time, but sounds like overall a lot of racing going on. We encourage everyone to be sure to follow Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, on Twitter, Instagram, and of course their website, and subscribe to the Grid Network right here on YouTube. We'll be back next week, and of course tomorrow. It's Friday today. Tomorrow, Grid Live pre-race, we have IndyCar, MotoGP, NASCAR. Will be on the air, and then of course the wrap-up program as well on Sunday, and then we do it all over again with the next upcoming week. For Daniel at Racers Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.